Right, listen up, because what I'm about to tell you is absolutely mental. One of English football's most controversial players has just issued a direct warning to Newcastle United, and trust me, you're going to want to hear every single word of this. But hold on a second, before we get to that bombshell story that everyone's talking about, I've got two other massive Newcastle stories that you absolutely cannot miss. We're talking about a player rejecting Manchester City's advances and a lesson that could transform Newcastle's entire season. Stick with me through stories 1 and 2 because story number 3 is going to blow your mind. This is the kind of threat that keeps defenders awake at night, and Newcastle's backline better be ready for what's coming their way. So buckle up because we're diving into the 3 biggest Newcastle United stories of the day. All right, let's kick things off with story number 1, and it's all about Tino Livramento sending a crystal clear message about his future at Newcastle United. So here's the situation. Tino Livramento is back in action after being out injured for 7 whole weeks, and he's just put in an absolutely brilliant performance against Manchester City. Now, you might be thinking, why does that matter? Well, let me tell you, Manchester City desperately wanted to sign this lad last summer. Pep Guardiola, arguably the best manager in world football right now, is a massive fan of Livramento. And when you've got a club with City's money and reputation wanting you, that's a huge deal. But Newcastle told them to back off, and they're ready to do the exact same thing if City come knocking again in January. Here's what makes this story so interesting. Livramento has just broken his silence about all these transfer rumours, and his words should put a massive smile on every Newcastle fan's face. When reporters asked him if he'd been having conversations with Newcastle's new sporting director Ross Wilson about his future, Livramento kept it refreshingly simple. He basically said, "Look, that's not something I control. My dad and my agent handle all that stuff. I've been out for 7 weeks working incredibly hard to get back fit and help the team. I'm really happy with how I've played, and my focus is staying exactly where I am right now. It's always been my focus, helping the team as much as I possibly can." But here's the best part. When they asked him directly if he loves life at Newcastle, you could still hear the adrenaline pumping through him after that incredible win over City. His response? Of course. Have you not seen it out there? Absolutely brilliant. Now, this injury he had was pretty serious. He hurt his knee in that frustrating 2-1 defeat to Arsenal, and it cost him 2 full months of his season. Even worse, it cost him a spot in Thomas Tuchel's England squad for the World Cup qualifiers. That must have been absolutely gutting for the lad. But Livramento isn't getting ahead of himself. When asked about getting back into the England squad for the spring internationals, he said he needs to focus on playing as much as possible for Newcastle first, because you only get called up for your country when you're performing well for your club. Smart thinking from the 23-year-old. Interestingly, he revealed that Tuchel reached out to him when he first got injured. They've got a good relationship from their time together at Chelsea, and Livramento really appreciates that Tuchel and his assistant Anthony Barry stayed in touch. As he put it, it's easy to ignore someone when they're injured and not playing, so the fact they kept in contact shows what kind of people they are. Behind the scenes at Newcastle, there's genuine hope that Livramento will sign a new and improved contract that will put all these transfer rumours to bed once and for all. The club wants to build their team around players exactly like him, young, talented, and committed to the cause.
Right, moving on to story number 2, and this one's about patience paying off in a massive way. Newcastle's recent 2-1 victory over Manchester City wasn't just important for the 3 points. It produced some absolutely incredible individual performances that have got everyone talking. Harvey Barnes grabbed the headlines with his 2 goals, the return of fullbacks Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall made an obvious impact, and the midfield 3 had their best collective performance of the entire season. But you know who really stole the show? Malik Thiaw. The German defender put in an absolutely masterclass performance, completely shutting down Erling Haaland, who many consider to be the best striker on the planet right now. Let that sink in for a moment. He made one of the world's most lethal forwards look ordinary. Thiaw joined Newcastle from AC Milan in the summer for £34.6 million, and with every passing match, that fee looks more and more like an absolute bargain. The tackle he made in the second half when Haaland was about to shoot in the Newcastle box was so good that the entire stadium at St James's Park erupted like he'd just scored a goal. That's the kind of impact he's having. What's really impressive is how seamlessly he's adapted to English football. He's already established himself as Newcastle's most important centre-back. The fans absolutely love him. They've even created a chant for him to the tune of Bella Ciao that gets belted out every match day. But here's the fascinating part of this story. Thiaw had to be incredibly patient before getting his chance. His first Premier League start didn't come until 24th September in that 0-0 draw at Bournemouth. That's weeks of sitting on the sidelines, training hard and waiting for his opportunity. Most players would get frustrated in that situation, but not Thiaw. In an interview with Newcastle's official matchday programme, he explained his mindset perfectly. He said he didn't have a pre-season when he joined, so he saw that time on the bench as a chance to get to know his teammates and understand what the manager wanted from him. He could have been impatient, but instead he used that period to learn so that when he finally got his chance, he'd be ready to perform. And clearly, it went very well indeed. Since that first start, he's played every single league match and has even been recalled to the German national team. Talk about making an impact. Now, here's where this story connects to another Newcastle player, Yoane Wissa. The Congolese forward joined Newcastle from Brentford in the summer for a whopping £55 million. But he hasn't played a single minute yet, and the injury has kept him out. And even when he's back to fitness, manager Eddie Howe has said he'll need what he called a mini pre-season before he's ready to contribute properly. Howe explained last month that pre-season schedules are typically 6 weeks long for a very good reason. It allows players to build up properly and be ready to perform at their best. He's not saying Wissa won't play for 6 weeks, but to reach his very best level, it will probably take that amount of time. When Howe first said that, some fans were a bit worried, but now, looking at how Thiaw's patient approach during his own pre-season at Newcastle has paid off so handsomely, there's genuine hope that Wissa will follow the same path and reap similar rewards. It's a perfect example for Wissa to follow. Use the time wisely, learn the system, understand your teammates, and when your moment comes, be absolutely ready to shine.
Right then, we finally arrived at story number 3, the big one that I promised you at the start. And this involves one of the most controversial figures in English football, Mason Greenwood. Tomorrow night, Newcastle United are heading to Marseille for a Champions League clash at the intimidating Velodrome Stadium, and they're going to face a player who's just issued a direct threat to their defence. This is massive. Mason Greenwood is the former Manchester United forward whose career took an incredibly controversial turn. He was suspended and charged with attempted rape, assault causing actual bodily harm, and controlling and coercive behaviour. The Crown Prosecution Service later discontinued these proceedings and all charges were dropped a year later. However, the situation became so toxic among Manchester United's fan base and within the club itself that Greenwood never played for them again. They loaned him out to Getafe in Spain and then sold him permanently to Marseille last summer for £26.7 million. Now, here's where it gets interesting for Manchester United. They inserted a clause in that deal, which means they receive half of any future transfer fee that Marseille get for Greenwood. Smart business considering how well he's been performing. And performing well is putting it mildly. The 24-year-old has been absolutely on fire for the French side. He's already scored 11 goals this season, including an incredible 4-goal haul against Le Havre. Just last Friday, he bagged 2 goals in a thumping 5-1 away victory over Nice, helping Marseille keep the pressure on Paris Saint-Germain at the top of the French league. His form has been so good that clubs are seriously considering making a move for him in January, and you can bet they'll be watching even more closely after tomorrow's match against Newcastle. Speaking of which, let's talk about the Marseille team that Newcastle are going to face. It's absolutely stacked with players who have Premier League experience. Former Arsenal striker Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang leads the attack. England international Angel Boehmes, who Newcastle have actually scouted before, plays just behind him. At left back, they've got Emerson, who won the Champions League with Chelsea and also played for West Ham. Their captain is Leonardo Balerdi, who Newcastle were interested in signing last summer before they chose Malik Thiaw instead. The squad also includes former Burnley defender CJ Egan-Riley, ex-Brighton and Everton striker Neal Maupay, Danish midfielder Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and Matt Riley, who's on loan from Brighton. It's going to be a proper reunion of sorts. But make no mistake, Mason Greenwood is the main man, the player Newcastle need to worry about most, and in a rare interview with League A+, he's just revealed exactly what makes him so dangerous and sent a clear warning to Newcastle's defenders about what they can expect. Greenwood opened up about a fascinating technique he uses to stay calm in goal-scoring situations. He explained that the night before a match, he lies in bed visualising different moments on the pitch. Then, when he goes out to warm up before the game, he continues visualising, imagining himself in certain situations and deciding what he'll do. The result?
When those moments actually happen during the match, it's second nature to him. He can just execute immediately without thinking. But here's the really scary part for Newcastle's defence, particularly whoever plays at left-back, whether that's Lewis Hall, Dan Burn or even Tino Livramento. Greenwood usually operates on the right side of the attack, and whilst his left foot is his stronger one, he's genuinely brilliant with both feet. That makes him almost impossible to defend against. Listen to his warning. When you've got both feet, the defender sometimes likes to show you one way onto your weaker side, but I like that because if he's showing me or wants to push me, I'll take the opportunity because I can shoot with my right foot. Or if he wants to show me to the left, I can take the opportunity on the left. Can you see the problem? No matter which way the defender tries to force him, Greenwood has the ability to punish them. He can shoot, he can cross, he can score with either foot. That's a nightmare scenario for any defender. Even his manager, Roberto De Zerbi, who previously managed Brighton, has been praising him whilst also challenging him to reach even greater heights. De Zerbi said last season that Greenwood wasn't showing enough in training and games, but he's been quick to protect him from criticism too. The Italian manager believes Greenwood is already a top player in front of goal, but he thinks he can become one of the best players in the world because he has the ability. The area where De Zerbi wants to see improvement is in helping the team more when it's needed. Newcastle fans have already been warned about travel restrictions when they're in France for this match, and the atmosphere at the Velodrome is going to be absolutely electric. It's guaranteed to be a tight, tense game between two quality sides. So there you have it, your three biggest Newcastle United stories of the day. Tino Livramento making it clear he's happy at Newcastle and rejecting Manchester City's interest. Malik Thiaw showing Ioane Wissa the perfect example of how patience and preparation pay off. And Mason Greenwood issuing a direct warning to Newcastle's defence ahead of tomorrow night's massive Champions League clash in Marseille. Tomorrow is going to be absolutely huge for Newcastle. Can they handle Greenwood's threat? Can they get a result at the intimidating Velodrome? We'll find out soon enough. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our Newcastle United coverage. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these three stories you found most interesting. Until next time, Huey the lads!